Mark and
Pete podcast episode 4.
Was that the intro?
No, that was pretty lame. Let's try that again.
I don't know if whiskey's good for pot, because a whiskey, you have to, it's like a slower seltzer. You just slug it on back. You can't.
I don't know. Just drink when you're not talking.
All right, welcome back, friends. Right? They're friends.
Yeah. Everyone who follows is a friend.
Spectators. Yeah. Almost like family, right? I mean, like a happy family. No? Welcome back. It's the Mark and Pete podcast. This marks 1 month. It's our 1 month special, right? It might be the last one because the end of the world is coming. Isn't that?
The end is nigh.
The apocalypse. It's coming, but how's it going to happen? That's what we're answering. It's the apocalypse episode. If you've been following the news recently, it seems like every week there's some new reason that the world is probably going to end. So we're just gonna take some time this afternoon to kind of analyze the different ways, maybe try to sort them in like order of most to least likely and just kind of
Least to most likely.
Sure, least to most likely. We'll just sort of fantasize about how it's gonna play out, the end of mankind.
Yeah, we were just talking about nightmares, and I think all of these would be a nightmare scenario. I mean, all life on Earth wiped out. Well, answer me this: all life on Earth wiped out, or just humankind?
I don't know.
We often think that we're the center of the universe as human beings.
In true Mark and Pete fashion, we're probably going to need to Google the definition of an apocalypse. You're a wordsmith, right? So apocalypse, apothecary. Pete, for some reason, he knows a bunch of like a Latin origin stuff. What is the apoc mean?
So that's a good question. I'm gonna say "poc" means time.
Is it apoc, right?
So without time, it's like the end of time.
End of time. Ellipse. So an eclipse, right? And that's another ellipse. That's like a circle, right? Like an elliptical.
Well, let's look at the definition. Let's see. The complete final destruction of the world. And I'm not going to read that second part.
Ellipse, like lapse, maybe?
The complete final destruction of the world.
Has lapsed. They'll try to figure it out.
Try apocalypse etymology. And we could get to the real root of the word.
Well, you spell etymology, Pete.
There's another hard one. It's got a Y in it.
Oh, I would have gone with a D. No, it's Greek and Latin and Old French.
From the Greek to uncover. It's not what I would have guessed. Oh, but it comes from, so this is where the second part of the definition comes from, because they say, as it relates to the biblical book of Revelation.
Yeah.
Revelation is an uncovering. So
I didn't know it was
it's one of those Christian words. It's a biblical word. Christianity has had a large influence on Western culture. We borrow a lot from that. So
yeah. But for the sake our definition for the podcast, because yeah, I think it's just that the end of life on Earth is going to be our apocalypse. Yeah, people are always talking about it. The Greeks, especially, right? Is that the ones that, or no, the Mayans. The Mayans, or 2012 was going to be the end. Everyone's predicting the end. In time. It's something. It's going to get us a lot of listens, a lot of hits on the YouTube. So yeah, let's go ahead and just start with some scenarios, because we have quite a few of them here. Probably the coolest, right, would be aliens, right? Aliens come down and then they, and their flying saucer and just start blasting.
Start blast.
You know, what's your favorite alien end of the world movie?
Oh, I think it would have to be. Well, I really like They Live by John Carpenter, but that wasn't exactly an apocalypse. It was almost darker because we learned to live with the aliens.
I don't know that one.
I'm gonna say Independence Day is kind of like the quintessential alien apocalypse movie.
Will Smith slaps the shit out of those aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. What about Mars Attacks? Yeah.
Oh, love Mars
Attacks. Who's the director of that one?
That wasn't Tim Burton, was it?
Might have been. I feel like it is.
Tim Burton.
It seems Burton-esque. Who's in that?
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah. That's probably one of my favorite parts. Is they're like news reporters, and then they get their heads removed and put onto
Little dogs.
So one's a dog, and then the other one's just a head, or what's the? I don't know. It's been a while. Jack Nicholson also in it. Right? Love me some Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, that one merits a rewatch. Yeah. So aliens. There's been a lot of theories about aliens invading Earth. Why would aliens ever come to Earth? And the consensus seems to be they're not here for peace. They're here for a war.
That is the consensus.
Well, look at the
scientific community.
Look at our own history of like colonization on the planet Earth.
If they're anything like us.
Since when have we ever gone to a new land and just made friends with the people?
Probably best case scenario, they'll give us some smallpox blankets, right? Yeah, if they're anything like us, they're gonna kill us all and put us in reservations, right? I don't know. That's coming from the perspective of I know American history best. I don't know what everyone's doing in the rest of the world, but yeah.
What do you think an alien looks like?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably small with a big head, gray, big eyes. I like that alien.
I was imagining some sort of tentacles.
You think a tentacle thing?
Yeah.
Pete's real into anime, hentai, that sort of thing.
I'm most certainly not.
Tentacle porn? Is that what it is?
No. I'm thinking more like a King and Kodos situation.
Oh, from The Simpsons.
From The Simpsons.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good alien.
And they eat people. They eat humans.
They probably wouldn't breathe an oxygen-rich atmosphere, right?
War of the Worlds. Remember the aliens came and they just... Can't say fuck, can I?
Yeah, you can, Pete.
They fucking rocked our armies and we're just destroying. And then it was something simple in the Earth's atmosphere that infected the aliens and killed them. Their immune systems couldn't survive on Earth. And
yeah, that's almost every alien movie, right? That Signs, same thing.
Water.
They were going to take out Earth, and then the water ended up being their Achilles heel. And Mars Attacks. They couldn't handle fucking folk singing.
Yodeling.
Yodeling, yeah. And that took them right out.
So do you think there's hope if the aliens invade? I mean,
depends. I mean, in all those scenarios, humankind makes it out on top. How Independence Day, how do they beat the aliens? They just blow up the spacecraft.
Nuclear weapons.
Yeah. That's kind of the obvious one. Huh? No twist ending there. I don't know. I think it all depends, Maybe the alien is just going to be this cloud of dust that can shift matter and will take us out in, half a second.
Who knows what strange new technologies they're going to have. I mean, they mastered the art of interstellar travel. Just imagine what the armies are like.
Which is pretty hard, right? Because we've only faked even leaving the atmosphere, right? Or do you think we made it to the moon?
Debatable.
Hard to say. I hear there's like a layer of radiation around the Earth. One of the atmospheric layers that it would require way more insulation. Like a lot of lead that would make a spacecraft too heavy to get out of the atmosphere. And we also claim to go to the moon on the technology of a calculator. And now technology has gone so much further. You'd think we would just be doing, tourist trips to the moon now.
Yeah, I don't know. But then again, it's kind of like Occam's, right?
Explain to the folks at home what Occam's razor is.
Well, the simplest definition is probably the most true.
The simplest being we just did exactly what we said we did.
Yeah.
We were competing with the Russians. There was a space race. I think we cheated. I don't know. All speculation.
Anyway,
Interstellar travel, you'd have to go faster than the speed of light, right? Because even if you go the speed of light, it would take ages to get from like galaxy to galaxy.
Exactly. So aliens, anyway, kind of implausible. I mean, do aliens really exist? Will they ever actually find us?
I don't know. You remember recently? Well, they're kind of doing it right now. It's like a whole thing. The government is now having to release these reports of all like the UFO activity that they've been studying over the decades. You seen that? Heard of that? And so far, it's a lot of videos of like fighter pilots and stuff seeing little like flecks of things moving around.
Foo Fighters.
But
the best.
It's copyrighted material. Pete.
Here comes my hero.
We're doing whiskey on the podcast this week, which is a sharp turn from the standard seltzers. So whiskey gets Pete singing apparently.
Everlong.
All right. So you think the odds are pretty low?
I think it's pretty silly. We'll come to this later, but I think we'll be the architects of our own demise. I don't think we have to be afraid of aliens.
They could be here amongst us as well, you know?
Well, that's They Live by John Carpenter. We'll watch that movie. It's good. It's where the whole obey thing comes from.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they're here and they're just pulling the strings, you know? I've heard a lot of theories about like politicians and billionaires and stuff being lizard people. You heard that? Seen that? Heard about that?
Yeah, reptilians.
Reptilians, yeah. What does it mean when someone refers to their reptilian brain? Every once in a while, someone will say something like that to me, and then I'll be like, damn, that person's fucking smart. Sounds like they got a good idea of, I don't know. What does it mean?
Reptilian brain is like your base natural instinct.
Reptilian brain. In some models, the human brain evolution and function. The part of the human brain that corresponds to the brain of the vertebrates before the evolution of mammals, which is associated with behaviors concerned mainly with self-preservation. It's the reptilian brain, right? Billionaires, politicians.
Think of it this way, like reptiles are cold-blooded, like they respond to their environment.
Cold-blooded.
So they kind of follow the sunlight.
That's your takeaway from it?
I'm just trying to help you understand what their reptilian brain is.
So the aliens could be among us, and maybe they're just controlling us. Maybe we're already, we're already at the mercy of them by way of bureaucracy, propaganda. You think?
They live. Well, speaking of space is pretty scary. It's big, it's cold, it's dark. There's everything exists in it. What is that, Rick and Morty? Oh, there's snakes in space? Morty, there's everything in space.
Yeah. Space is full of nothing. It's like as inhabitable as possible, right? You know, no atmosphere, no gravity, no anything. It's just void. Yeah, so another thing we had on here was meteors. Which, is that correct? Would it be a meteor? I know.
Or an asteroid.
I
don't know. I always get this one wrong.
It's a meteorite once it's already hit the Earth, right? Like if you find a meteor, then it's a meteorite, I think. But meteor versus asteroid, I don't know. There's an asteroid belt. But what was the apocalypse movie where there was an asteroid coming? Wasn't it called like Asteroid or something?
Deep Impact?
No, the one with Bruce Willis.
Space Cowboys.
Armageddon. Space Cowboys?
See, this one's been done a lot too.
Yeah, the asteroid coming.
Yeah, Don't Look Up was the Oscar-nominated
yeah, that was a recent
Netflix film recently.
I like that one. Everyone gave it a hard time because it seemed like they were pushing some agenda, but I found it pretty entertaining. What did you say?
I don't know. It was no Armageddon. It was no Space Cowboys.
Yeah. You know, it was a good one. Well, we don't have it on the list, but the core, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The Earth's core just stopped spinning for some reason.
And the magnetic fields disappear.
Yeah, it started fucking up the environment, like the world was going to end.
Yeah, and that would affect all of our communications technology. That would essentially bring civilization as we know it, like, to its knees. We
Yeah,
would be
but would that ever actually happen?
back in
Is
the
that-
Dark Ages.
Is that really something that can happen to the Earth? The core just stops spinning, you know?
I don't know. Ask Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Fuck Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's our. Are we pro?
We're anti Neil deGrasse
We're
Tyson.
anti Neil.
Guy's
but-
got his head so far up his own ass.
Bit of a huckster. This is all you need to know about Neil deGrasse Tyson, right here. See, every so often, it's like once a year or so, he posts the same tweet about how you can kiss a mirror, but you can only kiss yourself on the lips.
On the lips.
He seems to be obsessed with this. It's like, I don't know. It's like facts, but he makes them seem more interesting than they are. Like, I could appreciate, like revealing some interesting information, but I feel like, I don't know, what he does is he's so pompous about it. He always refers to things like, if you see things through the eyes of a physicist, everything's different. Like, he's so superior because he can. I don't know. That's enough Neil deGrasse Tyson hate. Probably cut that. 'Cause he's on like a book tour right now. We might be able to get him on the pod. Probably be good for our numbers. Neil, if you're listening, we'd love to have you. You can come on and clear your name. Neil deGrasse Tyson. But so we have meteors on here. So it happens, right? There was one that was coming pretty close. Like every once in a while, there's in the news, it's like, oh, there's a meteor, it's coming pretty close, but don't worry, it's only got like a 0.001% of destroying the entire planet.
Well, here's how I feel about the whole meteor asteroid scenario.
You have feelings?
It happens all the time that, like, they say, a large asteroid is gonna sweep, within 100,000 miles of Earth. And
Yeah.
it was a near miss. One, it's weird that it's always a near miss. Maybe Earth is just special.
Well, I think having an atmosphere, right, that helps. Because if it's not big enough, it's just going to burn up or, burn up into something real small in the atmosphere. Yeah, that's why the moon is all fucking pocked with asteroids and stuff, because it doesn't have an atmosphere to burn anything off. So we've got that insulative layer. But, and then apart from that, like, we're keeping an eye on it, right? So we can just do the Armageddon thing if one is going to hit. And we'll probably, I would hope, that we've got enough people looking into the sky and keeping track of those things, that we would have, like, I don't know, a few years to figure it out,
I don't know. I would want like 1 week.
If you haven't seen the movie Armageddon, what they do is they fly up into the air, into space, the rocket ships. They land on the asteroid, and then they blow it up. But it doesn't quite work right. I don't know. Something happens. It's not going to explode, and then it's going to explode too late. I don't know. I think it all works out fine, right? Or does the world end?
No, they saved the world.
These are old movies. What happens in the Netflix one? Don't Look Up. Does the world end?
The world ends.
I like that. That's a drama, right? And the difference between a drama and a comedy.
It's a dramedy.
The drama has a sad ending. Pete was just at a Shakespeare festival, so he should be very privy to all of this. You want to talk about your Shakespeare festival? Was it it wasn't a festival.
Yeah, it's a festival.
He was at a Shakespeare festival. He had a wine and pizza
Yeah.
with his girlfriend. So a drama has a sad ending and a comedy. That's the traditional definition of comedy and drama. Smiling mask and frowning sad mask. No?
What would you do if a meteor was hurtling at Earth? What would you do if you had 1 week? Would you riot? Would you make peace with your God? Would you just cry a lot?
I would probably just try to numb the anxiety with drugs and promiscuous sex. What would you do?
I'd want to be with all my loved ones, you know?
Yeah, you would?
Yeah, I think so.
You really want to see them when they're all freaked out, though?
I don't want to be alone.
Who are your loved ones?
You, Amelia, my family. Whiskey.
When you're on the phone with Amelia, do you say "I love you" before you get off the line?
We don't talk on the
love
phone
you.
a lot.
Love you too.
Really don't talk on the phone a lot.
Do you use the L word with each other a lot, though?
Yes.
Getting pretty serious. Pete's uncomfortable. Meteor.
So here you say sun.
Oh yeah, I put the sun on here because I got like a notification on my phone, and literally this is the headline of the story. Here comes the sun, like the Beatles song, to end all of humankind or something like that.
Do 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 do.
And apparently what it was is, we have solar flares. I guess like every 11 years, approximately. Sometimes it's 9 years, sometimes it's 13 years, but on average, every 11 years, the sun's poles flip, and it ends up shooting out a blast of energy just in some random direction. And I mean, there's only 306. Well, there's 360 degrees, but then there's also it's a sphere, so. Is it 360 times 360? That's like the odds of it, just blasting Earth.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so it's a possibility. Hasn't happened yet, so probably never will. But that's one thing that could happen.
I like that we're establishing canon here that I'm not very good at math.
Yeah, yeah. Neither am I. But I'm just brazen, just throwing out. Yeah, I'm sure it's not 360 times 360, but it seems like it would be, right? I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have anything more on the sun, but it was that article that I think prompted the apocalypse episode. Well, because there's also a meme floating around, a few variations of it I've seen, where it's like another apocalyptic scenario gets thrown our way, and then at this point we're just all so burnt out on all of it, and it's like whatever, throw it on the apocalypse pile. There's a million different things. So we're in it's 2022 now. We had this pandemic, which, are we still in it or are we out of it? Is it? Has it been downgraded to a
endemic? The New York Times still has that little section on their front page where they're tracking the COVID numbers, like up, 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 down, down, down.
It seems like it's going up recently, right? Well, summertime it always does because everyone travels more. If you go to Florida, you're gonna get fucking COVID. That's just
Florida's a crazy place.
Yeah.
So COVID has been pretty scary because I think it's really like this watershed event in our lifetimes. I mean, what was it? 100 years ago, we had the Spanish flu, and that was a big scary thing that killed a lot of people. But we've never seen something so out of our control bring society to its knees again like that. And of course, we adapted. We're resilient. We got a vaccine. But it was scary. I mean, a little tiny microscopic bug can just wipe us all out. And look at it; it's still evolving,
mutating. Yeah,
mutating. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. And who knows what the next one was going to be?
Yeah, we'll have some new variant by Thanksgiving, I'm sure.
Back in the Middle Ages, it was like the bubonic plague, and that wiped out. I don't have these facts here, but that wiped out like something like half the population of Europe.
Yeah, a lot of people. And I don't know, we've had other, I don't know if they're pandemics, but like, I don't know, what do you call SARS? That was a big deal. But that somehow,
pretty scary. And
that somehow
Ebola.
stayed contained, right?
Ebola,
The bird flu,
the bird flu, the swine flu,
the swine flu.
H1N1.
Was that the bird flu or the swine
That
flu?
was the swine flu.
What was the bird flu?
They just called it avian flu.
Mm.
But anytime you hear about like large swaths of like chickens or pigs being infected and like killed off in Asia, you wonder, is this the next one? Is this going to be it?
Yeah, initially I wasn't worried about COVID at all because I, in my lifetime, we had SARS, we had the H1N1, never really affected us that much. Like there was very little that we had to do. We never had to shut down the economy or anything. But this one was very different. It seemed like it spread a lot faster. And the big thing was the hospitals were just full of COVID patients.
Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead.
Is that what we're on? We're on pandemic? Pandemic. Yeah. Well, we've proven that we can kind of get through one. So, but, I mean, that one wasn't that bad. It was like, have you ever had COVID? Did you get COVID yet?
Oh yeah, I had it.
When did you have it?
I had it in like January of 2020.
You speculate that you had it.
I was super sick, dude.
Maybe it was a flu. No?
I was coughing so hard that like I just like could hardly breathe. I couldn't do anything but lay in bed and like try to breathe.
Yeah, sounds like it. And I remember, what are you doing to the rug, Pete? What's going on here? I remember that winter before, it was like April 2020 that like companies started closing down and everyone was going remote. But I remember the winter before that, like something swept through our whole office and fucked everyone up. I figured it was just a flu, but
Probably COVID.
in retrospect, probably COVID. I didn't get it then, but I did get it last Thanksgiving. It hit me pretty hard. But still pretty mild compared to what could be, Have you seen these monkeypox?
Have I seen these monkeypox?
You haven't seen this? You heard about this? Monkeypox?
No. Is that like Ebola?
It's like, well, I think it's like chickenpox, but this time it's monkeys. Why is chickenpox called chickenpox?
Because you look like a chicken.
So monkeypox?
Get all these little red sores over you.
It's like a monkeypox. Monkeypox is gnarly. I remember during the pandemic, everyone said, I bet everyone would take COVID more seriously if it like fucked you up real good, like physically. Yeah, these are the monkeypox that are good. Well, yeah, so it looks like monkeys are getting it. These all seem like renderings. I mean, that doesn't.
I've mentioned Ebola like a few times now, and that was the one that always scared me, especially as a kid. I read this book called The Hot Zone.
No.
And it was about the first Ebola outbreak in like the United States, because it came from all of these. They thought it was like bat droppings in caves in Africa, and somehow that infected monkeys. And it was called the Marburg virus because this guy named Charles Marburg discovered it and eventually contracted it. And the book talks about his horrible, horrible, painful death from this virus. It literally makes, your skin fall off. You bleed out of every orifice.
Ebola?
Yeah.
I thought
you have brain hemorrhages and you die this awful, bloody, gooey, painful death. And it's super infectious, and I don't think there's a cure for it. But it exists in the United States too. There's a government lab in the DC area where I think it's the Centers for Disease Control. They keep small samples of super deadly viruses like smallpox, like Ebola, for research purposes. And the hot zone is like this very super biohazard, safe, contained area where like scientists work with the viruses. And somehow the virus got out of the hot zone and it was infecting people in the Washington, D.C. area. And it's pretty scary. And then I think around 2020, it was maybe a few years earlier, but sometime in the 20-teens, there was another Ebola scare because some people were getting Ebola. That to me is the crazy one. It's basically a flesh-eating virus. But
Yeah.
it's horribly deadly, horribly contagious, and there's no cure.
Yeah, see, that seems like something like that. Like, so Ebola, which is out there, right? Like where do they get Ebola? Or
It came from Africa,
you know,
Lake Victoria.
it seems like something like that can just mutate to where it's super duper contagious and super deadly, and then that could easily wipe us out. Or turn us into zombies, right? You know? Yeah, zombies isn't on the list, Pete, but it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, 'cause that is a pandemic, right?
Well, yeah. So let's pivot to the zombie apocalypse.
Rabies seems pretty close to the zombie disease, right?
I think that was the premise of 28 Days Later. It was like a rabies variant, and it drove people to be crazy and like eat other people.
Yeah. 'Cause that's what rabies does, you know? Animals get it, and then they become all vicious, and they attack other animals, and then it's just like zombieism. And they start foaming from the mouth, and I don't know. And they call them undead. Doesn't that seem a little fucked up?
Look up death. This is pretty interesting. Look up the definition of death.
You do it.
The action or act of dying or being killed. The end of life for a person or an organism. Oh, no. I saw it. Here it is. Death is the irreversible cessation of all biological functions that sustain an organism. Death is an inevitable, universal, irreversible.
What about people that flatline and then they get their heart started again? Have they not actually died? Well, they call it a near-death experience, right?
Maybe they've changed the definition in the week since I saw it.
Maybe it's a loose definition. I don't know. It seems like it'd be a pretty definite thing, but you never know.
What's your favorite zombie movie?
Good question. I don't know. I'm not really one for zombie movies. I did like Shaun of the Dead. It was like a comedy, like a British sort of flavored comedy. You know?
The best.
Was it? Yeah, that's a good one, right? I don't know. Yeah, zombies, pandemic, it all kind of fits together. But we have pandemic is only like halfway down on our. This was what I had ordered it in order of least likely to most likely. Do you agree with that ordering?
I would move it down. I think a pandemic is far more likely than.
Well, don't mention the other ones.
Let's say this next one.
What have we got? Artificial intelligence, AI. The what do they call it?
The robot apocalypse.
What is it called?
Oh, the singularity.
The singularity. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Does everyone know what we're talking about? What is the singularity?
Let's look it up. What is the singularity? I mean, just from your etymology, Pete, what do you think it is?
This one's a little tougher.
Singularity. The state, fact, quality, or condition of being singular. A point at which a function takes an infinite value especially in space-time when matter is infinitely dense. So this doesn't sound like what we're talking about.
It's actually not. The singularity is like the bridging between like human and machine.
No, I don't think so. The singularity, it's like when AI reaches the point where it's like omnipotent, it becomes like a god, right? Now where AI is...
Here we go. The hypothetical point in time at which technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable changes to human civilization.
Yeah, so where it no longer, it continues to grow and evolve without human intervention.
Machines making machines. We're talking the Matrix. We're talking the Terminator.
Yeah. Now, I'm very familiar with the Matrix. I don't know Terminator lore quite as well, but let's do the Matrix. So what happens in the Matrix is they're doing exactly what we're doing now, working on building artificial intelligence, using it, making it better and better. And then they eventually create the singularity, the robot that, just it evolves quicker than we could ever engineer. And then it decides it doesn't need us. We go to war with it. We block out because as far as machines, they need energy to function, right? So you think the easiest would just be doing solar. We got endless solar energy, and they could just build solar.
Not in the Matrix.
But we black out the sun in the Matrix to prevent them from doing that, and then so they, in turn, harvest humans as batteries.
Really? Is that why humans moved underground? To keep robots from having solar power?
I don't know, I think they moved underground to hide from the robots. Robots out on the surface. But they did black out the sun. They did some sort of thing to...
I always forget that part.
Yeah, well, that's why they have to use humans. Well, it seems like, wouldn't it be much easier just to breed cows? That would probably... And then you don't have to worry about any cow uprising.
Neo is a cow.
Yeah.
Now, if you haven't seen the Terminator movies, you should see the Terminator movies, because this system called Skynet becomes self-aware, and it begins manufacturing like all these military machines just capable of annihilating people. It's called the Terminator. And it's like, it's all the Army's fault.
It's the Army's fault?
Yeah. We made weapons that became sentient.
Yeah. Same thing as everything else, right?
Yeah. And, the military these days is using robots. They love robots. Drones, autonomous drones. And
yeah, but where do you think we're actually
capable of
at
killing people?
As far as... So, we have what we call AI, or machine learning right now, but...
Machine learning is not AI.
It's not?
No. It's just a fancy data sorting algorithm. You have to feed it data and train it. True AI would be sentient.
Well,
I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
Yeah, we have what we call AI these days. The technology that exists is machine learning, and that's used. Probably the best application for it, most useful we have is like image detection. If you upload a video to YouTube, it can detect pretty quickly whether or not there's a penis in it or something. Or some
not hot dog.
Yeah, and so it can detect that or any sort of thing. It can tell, if it's a hot dog or what kind of bird it is. Things like that. Recognizing things in images is a pretty big one for machine learning. But also, there's like the conversational AIs, and it's all the same thing. It's machine learning. But they call it general AI would be one that's, can do anything. It's just capable of learning the way machine learning works these days, kind of, I think you were trying to say, you want to explain to the folks at home how machine learning works, Pete?
Machine learning is like, I mean, you have to, it's an algorithm that you have to feed large sets of data and kind of train to recognize things based on patterns.
Well, that's just learning, right? I mean, AI is not just going to know everything immediately, even the singularity. It has to be fed data and trained. So how does that differ from your definition of AI?
Consciousness.
Consciousness. Yeah, but how it works is you give it, instead of giving it instructions explicitly. There's how a lot of programs work. You have to explicitly lay out what it needs to do. You just give it a series of inputs and then outputs, and you let it kind of figure out whether this input is going to create that output on its own, just based off the data that it has. So for an image, that would be
right
bitmap image data. This combination of pixels is a ferret. This combination of pixels is it's an apple. It's been sweeping the headlines, right? There was a Google engineer who was let go from Google recently because they were whining that their conversational, one of the speech synthesis engine was sentient. Did you see this?
I did see that article. Yeah.
And Google said, no, it most clearly isn't. This guy is just being an asshole right now. And then they fired him. What do you think, Pete? Do you think it was sentient? And
I think Google would jump on it if they had developed a sentient AI.
I don't see any Chromecast or cast-enabled TVs linked to your account. You can add devices in the Google Home app.
Well, that's upsetting.
Yeah, that's really disturbing.
But topical.
Let's keep that just because.
Yeah. So I don't know if the audio is going to come through on that, but we're talking about Google, and I have like the Google Home that's sitting over there in the kitchen, and it just started talking to us. And I don't know, what can you say about that? You think they're listening? I mean, they're definitely processing everything that they hear.
They're training the machine learning algorithm. An AI would be able to like anticipate your needs.
Sexual?
So here's a question. I mean, I do think we will achieve AI, but
General
AI, but will it be evil? I mean, or will it be good? Will we have rules and parameters for it that keep it from becoming evil? Because the movies, the AI is always evil.
Yeah. Well, is it evil, or is it just, it doesn't have any compassion or anything, or understand? Because there's a lot of parts of human life and the way that we live that just wouldn't make sense to a robot, right?
It's often perceived as having like a childlike brain.
Yeah. Or just, very straightforward, logical, whatever's the because it doesn't worry about the consequences in between, right? So if you have an AI that maybe plans battle strategies, it would just go for the one that kills a bunch of civilians, because it doesn't matter, all's well that ends well to the robot, right?
Certainly in the Terminator.
No. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Heck of a guy, right?
Speaking of Republicans, how about this one? Nuclear war.
Speaking of Republicans, nuclear war. Do you think that's all we had on AI? I feel like we stumbled about on AI, but we're not that smart. I'm not a AI engineer. Neither are you. But yeah, let's talk about nuclear war. It's been kind of top of mind ever since we dropped those bombs on Japan.
Yeah,
Here-
the United States is the first and only country to use nuclear weapons.
yeah. We kind of got away with it too, right? Kind of weird, right?
There was all this sentiment about never again, but we certainly seem to love nukes because we definitely have a huge stockpile of them.
Yeah, well, everyone does. Well, not everyone, but the countries that we allow to have stockpiles of nukes, right?
Yeah. And so the idea is that more nuclear weapons will prevent nuclear war somehow. But that's not entirely true. There are these, what are the START treaties that are for like reductions of nuclear arms. So since the 80s, attempts have been made to reduce the number of nuclear weapons in the world, mostly between Russia, or formerly the USSR, and the United States. But there are people out there who would argue that one nuclear bomb is too many.
Yeah, but it's kind of one of those things, it's like once the toothpaste is out of the tube,
You can't really
put it back in. Yeah.
Cats out
And
the bag.
And so, so the best solution there is, just make it so that the nuclear option is apocalypse, basically, or at least between the two countries, like
They called it mutually assured destruction.
mutually assured destruction.
Madness.
Yeah. If you drop a bomb, everyone's going to drop their bombs, and everyone's going to, which actually, I would put that pretty high on the list. We have it as number 2. But might actually be number 1.
I think it's because we live in an age where there really is only one global superpower,
Yes.
But if it was like the Cold War, remember that song, 99 Luftballons?
So musical today, Pete.
It's the whiskey.
Yeah, I know the song. I didn't know that song was about nuclear war. I thought it was about balloons. It's about nuclear war?
You think you're so punk rock.
You think that song's punk rock?
Yeah, it's pretty punk rock.
Who's it by? You don't know? Here's what I'm worried about in our current state of affairs, because at the time of this episode, Russia is attacking the Ukraine, which isn't, we're making it out to be a big deal, but it wasn't a big deal in during the Obama administration when Russia took Crimea back, right? Crimea? How do you say it? Crimea? They took Crimea. Crimea River, am I right? Yeah, it's with little fanfare. I don't remember anyone even talking about it. We're like, oh, shit. All right, well, I guess that's happening. This one's a much bigger deal. I mean, it is always a big deal, right? I mean, the poor folks of Ukraine are just getting invaded and tons of them dying and stuff. But anyway, the point is, so they're all fucking... They got hard dicks right now for war. They're trying to rebuild the USSR, really. Well, and I think Ukraine is really the big one that they lost, right? I could be wrong. I know nothing about this.
They lost a lot of territory. The Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia was a big one.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong. The Ukraine too.
Yeah. And I think, what's his name? Who's the leader?
Putin?
Yeah, Vladimir Putin. Who was a military man. Russia. Probably, the rise of the USSR. Probably wasn't super stoked about the fall of the USSR. And it seems like he really would like to reassemble it. And he's not getting any younger, right? How old is Putin?
I want to say he's like 60.
I bet he's closer to 70.
We sound like idiots.
Well, we are idiots. Pete. It's the Mark and Pete podcast. We know nothing. Vladimir Putin, Democratic president of Russia. It was a joke. So there's nothing democratic about his environment. 69. Nice. 69 years of age. So, who knows what the fuck's going to happen there? He could be experiencing dementia. Or he could, he could just be terminally ill for all we know. Doesn't look like the world's healthiest guy, right? Does.
Haven't you seen the shirtless pictures of him?
Oh yeah, but they're all old.
He's trying to project this whole like strong man image.
Yeah, but it's all propaganda, Photoshop, unrealistic body. Let's see. Putin shirtless for our watchers. He's shirtless a lot. Just hanging out with his cool guy sunglasses. Out there fishing. For the folks at home, there happens to be a picture of Vladimir Putin being held by, or with who's that guy? Last president?
I don't even want to say his name.
Donald Trump, and he's behind him. They're both riding a horse together. But I don't know. Yeah, he's old. He's old. He's coming up on 70, and it could be just like his dying wish. He could just like not give a fuck. Like he just wants to give back Russia as much soil and power. And
so you think Putin would push the button?
I think he might. I think there's a concern, and a big part of that too is just like the who Putin surrounded himself with is exclusively yes men. He's very insulated. Like there's no checks and balances in the whole thing. So it's like if he does, start moving towards that nuclear option, then there's going to be very little intervention by the rest of the Russian government.
There's been speculation, though, based on exactly what you're saying, that Putin might not be the most sane leader out there. Generals might disobey him. They might not actually follow his orders. And that's always been a question with nuclear war. I mean, sure, you have orders, but could you actually turn the key? Could you actually push the button? Could you actually be responsible for millions of lives lost?
Well, I feel like that's the thing with the way he has everything set up. Like, I bet there's very little friction between him doing it. Like, I'm sure, like, in preparation for this, he's making sure of it. And I mean, I think anyone, even someone who's, second in command, he could just have killed immediately if they, they're all terrified of being killed if they disobey him.
So Putin's a threat.
I think Putin's a bit of a threat. I mean, more so than North Korea, right? They have nukes too.
Yeah.
And they seem, like they've been real loose cannon, for a while, but I don't know. No one seems very afraid.
What I think is particularly scary in like the practical sense are like these nuclear submarines, because China has a number of them. Russia has a number of them. Obviously, the United States has a number of them.
Now, what do you mean by nuclear submarine?
They're actually like double nuclear submarines because one, they're powered by a nuclear reactor. So
yeah, that's my understanding of what
they're able to submarine for a long time.
Yeah.
But
nuclear energy is a very clean energy.
It is. It is. It is. It's it is. Yeah, it is. They're able to submarine for like a long time, but they're also loaded with like nuclear missiles.
Is submarine a verb?
Anything's a verb if you just you can wordify anything if you just verb it.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. They carry arsenals of like missiles though, and these are missiles not just with a single warhead, but like multiple warheads that are able to like split up and like attack multiple targets. They're like cluster bombs, which are very illegal under the Geneva Conventions.
And they're nuclear. They're nuclear.
Nuclear cluster bombs.
Are you sure? I'm familiar with this.
The Triton missiles, Poseidon missiles.
Submarine nukes? No reason that I know that. But, there's some countries that basically are American states, just because we have to
Maintain nuclear weapons in them.
Well, yeah, we have to take care of them. Our little babies.
The toothpaste's out of the tube.
Yeah, toothpaste is out of the tube, and basically any country that has nukes, the only reason or the only protection that we have from getting attacked by nuclear weapons is the fact that even if you nuked us, there would still be enough of our nuclear weapons around to absolutely destroy whoever the fuck just nuked us,
Exactly. That is mutually assured destruction.
Mutually assured destruction. Apocalypse. Armageddon. Is Armageddon less religiously charged?
Apparently.
What's the definition of Armageddon? And how do you... This is the episode of hard to spell words. Armageddon. Ugh, in the New Testament. God damn it. Christianity invented the end of humankind. Let's just get that out there. The place where the last battle between good and evil will be fought. A biblical hill, Megiddo. Archaeological site, the plain of Astralon.
Armageddon is actually almost a scarier definition than apocalypse.
Yeah, because it implies that there's going to be some battle.
Like some final battle between good and evil.
Yeah, I hope it just happens like when I'm in a K-hole or something. I like part of the podcast is we just imply things like Pete can't do math and we both have a ketamine addiction. Well, I think we said a lot about nuclear war. I don't think there's much to be said there. This is the tough one. The last one we have on here. I don't know how we're going to dance around this without... Because for some reason, climate change is like a political thing, right? So climate change, we have pollution, climate change. But will that really spell the end of the world for us?
Well, this is why I asked that question in the beginning. Does apocalypse mean the end of humankind, or does it mean the end of all life on Earth? Because I think climate change could certainly spell the end of humankind, but life finds a way. To quote Jurassic Park, life will continue on even after us. There have been documentaries made about this, about the world after humans.
Yeah. You think that we're fragile? We're more fragile than... don't you think we would be one of the most adaptable species? Because we could just go underground, become mole people,
I think deer will be around a lot longer than humans.
Deer?
Yeah.
They're committing suicide by car every day.
And yet they're still around.
Yeah, I guess. Perhaps. Or about some invasive pigs? They're invasive, like in some parts of Texas, they it's always pig season, kill as many pigs as you can, because they're just wild boars just running around fucking up crops or I don't know, whatever the fuck.
Persistent. They're persistent.
Yeah.
And, even tardigrades, if you want to get down to that level.
Yeah, well, there's cockroaches will no doubt inherit in the event of nuclear war. They would be the ones that would absolutely survive.
Yeah,
right?
And rats.
Rats.
Humans.
It's a tardigrade.
It's like a microscopic being that could survive extreme conditions. They're cute. You ever seen a picture of one?
Is that what what kind of bear is that?
Water bear.
A water bear? Is that a tardigrade?
Yeah. I think humans' time as the dominant species on the planet is limited. There will be plants and animals around far longer than we ever will be.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. There always has been, there always will be.
I don't know. It seems like at the rate of the evolution of technology, I feel like we're getting close to a point where, we can kind of buck the system and, like we are the, we kind of play God and, control. Because we've already done some of that, right? Like we can control like environmental things. And what do they call it? Project something, where they cloud seeding and things like that.
I read about this in like Wired and Popular Science all the time.
Yeah.
Climate change is weird because, again, it's kind of like a toothpaste is out of the tube scenario. Like the balance, the homeostasis of the world has already been upset. And we're just proposing solutions to try to fix it, like blocking out the sun, like altering the atmosphere,
Seeding
and there
clouds,
are negative repercussions to those solutions. And
right. Well, eventually it'll get to a point, right, where we will just have to control the atmosphere, and then it's like when you're gardening or farming, you can build like a really sustainable farm. Like when I was in Sonoma, and like some wineries would do this. They call it biodynamic farming, and the idea was like if everyone just abandoned the farm, all the crops would still keep growing because they've got like things set up with like bees and like all this stuff. It just kind of works no matter what. But traditional farming is completely unsustainable. Like you have to rotate crops and stuff to, make sure you don't completely destroy the soil. And it's all very manual. You have to you have to create the homeostasis yourself. So we could start going that direction, and then without human intervention, the world would become something completely uninhabitable, which right now it is habitable without any sort of help from technology. But we might have to move. I don't know. What seems crazy to me is, like all these space billionaires that we have now. Like Elon. We talked a lot about Elon Musk in the last episode, but he's all about the world becoming a multi-planetary species because we're fucking up this planet so much that maybe Abby, what's happening? Eat your breakfast. We're fucking up this planet so much that it's likely that we'll have to go to another planet, which it doesn't make any sense to me because Mars is completely uninhabitable, and it seems like it would be way, 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 way more work.
Way more complicated to learn to terraform Mars.
We
can't even make some slight adjustments on
the
planet Earth.
Like Earth is almost perfect already. We just terraform that and make it, and we have a declining population in most countries. Is that right? That might not be accurate, but in a lot of places. And it seems like you just use all that technology. Like I don't give a shit about, we can just build up higher, big towers. There's plenty of space for everyone. The point of it is, with the whole like multi-planetary species thing, is I don't think we're out of room. I don't think overpopulation is a real concern, right? Do you?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Fix our problems here on Earth before branching out to other planets.
I really think the space race thing is just a total like dick measuring contest. Like, what do you do if you have $100 billion? Like what's the next frontier? It's the final frontier, space.
You should Google this. How much would it cost to solve world hunger?
Oh, are you just attacking Elon Musk more? Because didn't he said he would give $6 billion to some nonprofit or some organization if they could give him an actual plan?
It says the cost might be less than you think. A study produced in Germany suggests that the cost of ending world hunger within 10 years amounts to about $330 billion.
It's kind of a lot.
It is a lot, but it's less than moving our species to space.
It's more than my grandfather made in his lifetime. Yeah. Yeah, I think the whole like terraform Mars thing is just ridiculous. I don't think there's going to be there's any benefit to that. Anyway, so those are all the ways that the world can end. We're like at an hour and a half with it, right? 40 plus 40. What's 40 minutes plus 40 minutes?
80 minutes.
Which an hour is 60 minutes, so it's an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. If you can think of any more ways that the world might end or anything that we didn't cover, please, by all means, share it with us.
All right. Closing remarks. Like, subscribe.
Say no to nukes. Climate change is real.
Is it?
And Mark's an idiot. Be sure to like and subscribe. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
click that like button.
We'll keep making episodes.
Smash that subscribe button. Leave a comment. It's good for the algorithm.
We love comments.
We love comments. Make it toxic, Really troll us. We're on TikTok now. We got a TikTok. Get at us. What's our TikTok handle? Mark and Pete Podcast?
Mark and Pete Podcast.
Something like that. Can't be hard to find. We're doing a meme segment now. So look for that. We're going to release that on Wednesdays. That's my plan. So this comes out on Sunday. Check us out Wednesday for a thing where we just look at memes and talk about that. Real intellectual shit. Yeah. All right, that was Mark and Pete. Thanks. Have a good night.